Tuesday Drive.
Now, with Christmas just about here, I know many people are planning the final details of Christmas lunch, and for any entertainer, it's more than just food, but also the theme you've got to think about, the number of plates to set, and where to put the all-important bonbon. And then, of course, there's organising the choice of whether to go for a cheap bonbon or one of those really super expensive ones. But are all bonbons the same? And what happens to them after they've been cracked and that small little gift inside? Now, it's probably no surprise that much of it ends up in landfill. And joining me now is Fiona Schreurs, the Resource Recovery Projects Coordinator from Shoalhaven City Council, who I think is going to give us a little bit of inspiration. Now, the Christmas bonbon is almost a symbol of Christmas, but as I just mentioned before, a lot of it, of course, ends up in landfills. Are there any alternatives to the Christmas bonbon?
Well, the obvious choice is to make your own, which I have done over the years with my children, and they take great delight in writing the jokes or actually making a little gift or a little saying, or you can actually really personalise a bonbon. And I think that's the nicest way to go instead of buying the cheap rubbish that's out in the shops at the moment.
And there is a bit of that out there, isn't there?
Yes, and that plastic toy, I mean, what's the point of it?
Exactly.
It'd be much nicer to have a little poem or something that someone's written or made. You know, the more you personalise Christmas, the more it actually means, I think.
So what is the difference? I mean, obviously there's an obvious difference between a homemade Christmas bonbon to one that you buy in the store, but what is it with a homemade Christmas bonbon that we're putting in there that's actually better for the environment? Are we making them differently?
Oh, yes. Well, you can make them either out of paper that you have, or you can make them out of fabric. So I've actually done it with fabric, so that you use cardboard in the middle, and then you put your little gift, treat, whatever it is that you've made that's not plastic, and then you tie it up with some ribbon. And that's the way it goes. So it's not... Oh, and you can do the ones where you actually buy the cracker, but you need to make it out of paper if you do that. So you can buy the cracker and actually make it pop. And all that sort of stuff is reusable, recyclable, and none of it would go to landfill. A homemade bonbon, nothing goes to landfill.
Actually, I have to confess, my partner's actually giving them a crack this year, and he's had a great delight in actually buying little gifts that go inside the bonbon that are actually useful, and they're not all plastic.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's so much more fun. But Christmas is there's a lot more that happens around Christmas with waste than just the bonbon, unfortunately. So we live in the most beautiful part of the country, so everyone likes to visit us. So over the Christmas holidays, our waste and recycling it always doubles and sometimes triples. So that presents a few challenges for council, but we do have some measures in place to cope. So we have weekly recycling that we chatted about before that starts next week until the end of January. So from next week, residents will be able to put their yellow bin out to the curb every week instead of every fortnight. So that's a real help for the community in disposing of packaging.
Oh, looks like we've really just lost you there again. Sorry, Fiona, with the phone. What I might do is I might bring up a little community service announcement, and I might try and give you a call back, because I know that you have a wealth of information there to share with us, and I would certainly hate to miss out on that.
Tuesday Drive.
Now, of course, we've been chatting with Fiona Schreurs, who is from the Shoalhaven City Council. She's the Resource Recovery Projects Coordinator, and she's been giving us some tips and tricks about reducing our waste over Christmas. Now, Fiona, welcome back to the program. You were just chatting before about the fact that the council is about to put on weekly recycling service. Now, that was to start. Is that starting next week?
That starts next week on Monday. So that means that people can, recycle a lot more this Christmas and these holidays. So that goes until the end of January.
That's really good to know. And of course, we all see the influx of people flocking to the Shoalhaven over the Christmas break, and many of them will be spending, of course, Christmas here. Many of them, of course, will be bringing their gifts here. When it comes to wrapping so many gifts, have you got any advice that we could be looking at to help reduce the landfill situation?
Well, I think the best thing to do with wrapping gifts is to look at either reusing paper or using gifts like tea towels and things like that to actually, tea towels and scarves are a good one. What I've been doing over the years is making gift bags. So I have a stack of bags in all different sizes that the family used to put the gift inside, like a drawstring bag, or you could use you could even make a bag to be part of the gift. Our bags happen to be ones that we reuse every year. So under our tree is just a whole heap of bags, basically.
I like it.
Made with Christmas fabric, and they look really pretty. So that's a nice way of avoiding the paper. The other thing to do is, if you can reuse paper, that's very difficult if you have a lot of young children, because there's no way that they're going to sort of carefully open the gift.
No, they're not, no.
So you can reuse the paper. Yeah, so I think going with scarves, tea towels or bags is a really good way of avoiding the nightmare of the very late Christmas Eve wrapping frenzy that sometimes happens in families.
Oh, do you know what? I am absolutely dreadful at wrapping Christmas presents, and my sister in particular is always giving me grief because I just can't do it. I as much as I try, I just can't do it. And I really like your idea of getting drawstring bags, because it just takes all the effort out, quite frankly, and I can't get in trouble.
That's right, and you've got a stack of them then every year.
Exactly, I like it.
You buy a couple or make a couple every year, or get someone to make them for you. But that I find that's just a really nice idea. And my children are, sort of grown older now, and they like seeing the bags that they've from their childhood. That's things,
a lovely idea. Yeah,
special gifts came in, so.
Now,
having several Santa sacks.
Well, and the good thing about a Santa sack is they're quite big, so you can fit more into them. Homemade gifts, of course, Fiona. Homemade gifts. Hey, look, one of the things I discovered on the Shoalhaven Council's website was these fact sheets, which I thought were very, very helpful. And one of them, though, was some tips to think about when shopping. Now, that was really interesting because, I guess a lot of us, especially when we go to our staff Christmas parties, we do buy, those gifts under $10 or under $20 for the Kris Kringle. What can we be looking at when buying gifts?
Well, I think that the message behind it is avoiding buying single-use items or buying products that have a lot of packaging. So you can buy products that have cardboard packaging, which is fine because cardboard is recyclable, very easily recyclable. I guess it's avoiding products that have that really hard plastic that takes you half an hour to actually get the scissors through to actually product out. Those sorts of things are not recyclable. That sort of plastic is not recyclable in the yellow bin. It's about avoiding waste and looking at. Well, okay. So you mentioned the office Christmas party. So what we've been doing is buying a plant, a lovely plant, and sometimes, depending on the price of the plant and the price of your price limit, a little watering can to go with it, something like that. I mean, who doesn't love a plant? Indoor plants are particularly just went off through lockdown. So, succulent plants, that sort of thing, they're very popular and you can't go wrong. As a Chris Kringle gift, you can't, or the office Christmas party, you can't go wrong with a plant.
I actually really like that idea, and we actually had on the show last week Angie Thomas, a horticulturalist who has just released a book about the top 50 edible plants and how not to kill them. And I've got to say, I was reinvigorated actually to try out and start growing plants again. So I actually like that, Fiona, as a Christmas idea. Well done, big tick there.
Edible plants, herbs, that sort of thing. You can buy very pretty ones that, that look good at the time and are enduring because you can eat them. So, that's a really good thing. I think a plant it's a very safe gift and it's a very environmentally friendly gift.
And speaking of edible plants, this is a nice little segue into chatting about reducing our Christmas food waste over the silly season. What's happening?
Oh, no. It's just that food waste, Australians or Western countries really do waste a lot of food waste anyway. They waste a lot of food just throughout the year, but it gets worse at Christmas time because we're all very conscious of having people over for a meal and making sure everyone gets fed, and we don't want anyone to leave the house hungry. So we do tend to over-cater. And so I think the best way to do that is really drilling down exactly how many people are going to be staying with you or at lunch or for dinner, and menu planning. Menu planning is the most important thing. Work out exactly what you're going to be having on the day for the meal and shop to a list. Make a list, shop to the list, and then you'll find you'll have very few leftovers.
So
I know a lot of people plan to have leftovers though because that's lunch for the next day.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. Those sort of leftovers are fine, but it's the waste that we're really trying to avoid it in the first place. And if you're careful and it's not hard to menu plan and make a shopping list. It's sticking to it. If you shop online, it's very easy to stick to a list. So there are easy things that we can do. And I think also the other thing is people shouldn't beat themselves up if they go off the rails a little bit. If they find that they've made too much or they've bought something that can't be recycled. I think that people just should do the best that they can and not stress out about it.
So, but like Santa with his naughty and nice list, we should put one together too before we start going out shopping.
But we shouldn't think of ourselves as naughty if we actually buy too much or if you're conscious of it, then it's much easier to do, just being conscious of it in the first place. So and you don't have to think of yourself as being a super environmentally conscious person. It's just about being sensible and, you could end up saving money. There's lots of things you can do.
Now, we don't have much time left, unfortunately, but I just wanted to touch on very, very briefly with you about sustainable Christmas decorations. What is a sustainable Christmas decoration? I'm perplexed.
Okay, we have bunting. We have Christmas bunting all around our house, and we have wooden gifts, wooden decorations. Wooden, or some of the baubles are glass, and they have been in our family for quite a few years. And just reusing things, but trying to get away from the tinsel. Tinsel's just plastic rubbish that sheds everywhere. And I would suggest that once your tinsel, if you reuse your tinsel every year, not a problem. But once it starts to actually break down and, you're thinking, oh, this is looking a bit tired, don't replace it with more tinsel. Replace it with pretty bunting. There's lots of bunting out there, lots of, if you're using Christmas lights, those sorts of things, just so long as they're reusable. If you think about not having a single-use item, a reusable item means you're not creating waste. So it's just thinking about it.
Great activity with the children as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I just quickly wanted to mention electronic waste.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Everyone gets a new gadget at Christmas. So those things, your old mobile phone, batteries, laptops, all of those sorts of things are recyclable at the depot for free, not in the yellow bin.
Very handy advice there. Fiona,
yeah, it's actually quite dangerous putting those things in the bins.
Thank you. Sorry, we've just about run out of time, unfortunately. Fiona. Look, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. And as I said, I really like the idea of just making your own Christmas decorations out of wood, making a list. And I love the fact that you're suggesting go out and buy a plant. That was the bee's knees.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fiona.
You're very welcome. Have a nice Christmas.
You too, and thank you so much for chatting to us on Triple UFM.
You're very welcome.
That was Fiona Schreurs, the Resource Recovery Projects Coordinator for the Shoalhaven City Council, and some really wonderful advice there. And it's like I said, if you go to the Shoalhaven City Council website, they've got some really brilliant fact sheets up there, which are very, very helpful. And I wonder, do you make your own Christmas bonbons at home, or what about your own decorations, as Fiona was chatting about there? I'd love to hear from you. And look, speaking of reducing garbage, I thought this one from the band Garbage would sit quite nicely.
This is Tuesday Drive.